Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Rhode Island Summer of Soccer podcast as we continue our celebration of culture, community, and competition. Today's episode is about what's possible when local roots meets the global game and how those experiences can come full circle. I'm your host, Joe Kayada, a lifelong Rhode Islander and someone who's been fortunate to cover some of the world's biggest events as a sportscaster. And today, we're joined by someone who I actually covered once. Our guest is Geoff Cameron, a former professional soccer player who spent nearly 20 years competing at the highest levels in the United States and England. He represented the United States men's national team at the 2014 FIFA World Cup. While Geoff is a proud Massachusetts native from Attleboro, his soccer story is deeply connected to Rhode Island. He attended Providence Country Day School, completed his college career at the University of Rhode Island, and began his professional journey with the Rhode Island Stingrays. And with the World Cup matches coming to Foxborough in 2026, Geoff's journey is a reminder that world-class soccer doesn't start in the spotlight. Rather, it starts on local fields with local coaches and local opportunities. Geoff Cameron, welcome to the Rhode Island Summer of Soccer podcast.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Awesome. Great to see you, man. It's been a while since we connected back in 2014 when I covered you for NBC 10. But let's talk about that journey, right? From the beginning, when you were a kid, could you ever imagine the opportunities you would get through the game of soccer, bringing you all the way up to the highest level of World Cup?
Just you asking me that question just kind of gives me a little bit of chills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it goes back to that moment that, I ended up going to the 1994 World Cup at Foxborough Stadium. And I remember going to a match, and I'm sitting there with my father. And, I just remember looking at my dad saying, I want to play here one day. And that's where I was playing youth team and in club team and all that kind of stuff. But at some point that was the dream became reality, as in, that's what I wanted to do. And, for me, that's where it started. And, it went from there. And I look back and we have such a unique opportunity. I'm so jealous in the sense of, if I was a little bit later in my career, I'd still have the opportunity to play in the World Cup here in front of our home fans in our country. But what an amazing opportunity is for the players that are playing. But more importantly, for the youth players and the development here in this country to see what's going to happen here. And it's going to be 1994 World Cup on steroids, really.
That's awesome. While you're not a Rhode Islander, we mentioned Rhode Island roots really are deep in you and has helped you throughout your career. Can you talk about how this state has helped you and shaped you as both a player and a person?
Yeah, I mean, having the opportunity to go to school on a scholarship to Providence Country Day, and actually playing for Stacey DeCastro, who was the original Bayside United coach and owner of the club, and he developed a lot of players like Michael Parkhurst, who was at Atlanta. He, played with him on the national team. A local, I think he was from Cranston, Rhode Island, maybe. Mm-hmm. But we had a unique relationship on the field, and he developed a lot of players. And for me, that was just, he had a good group of players, and it was just developing technical stuff. And you fell in love with the game, and falling in love with the game and training, and, you go through this process of, when it's hard, he just keeps pushing you. And that was the development that I learned under Stacey DeCastro, and then playing at Rhode Island Indoor Sports, Jefferson Boulevard, going there, playing, like in the men's tournaments to, college showcases, you name it, indoor, because you can't play outside in the middle of the winter there. Yeah. Because it's a bit rough. But it was that development. And, Rhode Island is special. It's a small state that kind of people overlook, but it's special, and you offer so much more.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you touched on your time at URI. You are a Hall of Famer for URI. You ended your final 2 years there. What did that do in that environment help you to become a pro? Because URI has a great soccer program that a lot of people probably don't talk about nationally.
Yeah. When I left West Virginia University as a transfer, my dad was ill at the time, and I came home to be closer to home. And I was kind of playing Rhode Island Stingrays for summer league ball, and so happened that that one of the players got drafted to go to Montreal, and there was a full scholarship waiting there for me, and took the opportunity. It was about an hour drive, give or take, and Coach Elliott, Gareth Elliott, is who's still there.
Yeah.
He was instrumental for me because I think he saw the potential in me. He pushed me, he challenged me, and I still have an amazing relationship with him and the university. So I would go back in my off season, but it was like you had this family environment where you had a lot of internationals, you had a lot of local players from Rhode Island, but you also had some players all around the US, and you kind of came together, and it gave that team atmosphere, that you guys were all together. And it was really special. Their facilities were amazing. Their pitch was, I think at the time, it was one of the best pitches in Rhode Island. And yeah, it was really special. It was amazing, actually.
A lot of people may not remember the Stingrays, and I remember growing up. We're similar ages. They were the team. They were the USL team. It was like exciting when you were a kid. We would practice there at their stadium in East Providence. It was amazing to see the pros. You were able to start your pro career with them. Can you talk about that and how that kind of got you into the pros and got you thinking and acting like a professional here in the state of Rhode Island?
Yeah, it was Mario Pereira. It was, it was kind of like a summer league. You had some guys that were playing overseas, semi-pro, professional, and they were coming here on their off season. And then some guys were in college, the higher, Division I players that needed to get, to continue their training, to continue their development through the summer. And it was an opportunity for the best players to come together and play. And having the opportunity to play in a league like that, it allowed us to still stay, sharp and to get better. And you're playing harder competition. You're playing older players. So the challenge is going to be significantly more. And do you adapt to that? And I think that's such a key thing. It's okay to play players that are older than you because you have to think quicker. So that development in that aspect was amazing for me because it allowed me to jump in through my professional career from you going to college and then transitioning into the Houston Dynamo. I was kind of used to the pace, the intensity. That was a good stepping stone. Although I wasn't getting paid, it was
Semi-pro,
I didn't care about that. Yeah. It was like we did the soccer camps. That's where we made our money, for the college players, but it was more about that experience. What is it like to be a professional? And, showing up on time, doing the right things and creating those really good professional habits. And for me, that's what I dreamed of. So I wanted to get as much exposure as I possibly could to prepare myself for the next step. And that's the way I looked at it.
Let's talk World Cup now, because that's what everybody wants to talk about as we're getting ready here in Rhode Island and across southern New England for the World Cup 2026 up at Boston Stadium, which is Gillette Stadium as we know it. You played in 2014. You represented Team USA. What was that like, putting on that jersey in Brazil for the first time and stepping on that pitch?
Yeah, I just remember walking out, the national anthem comes out and you have the anthem for the World Cup, and you dream of it. It's like, I want to go back because it was that moment where I'd have to mow the grass. And I always tell this story because it's actually true. I remember watching the World Cup 1994. I went to one of the games, came home, and I'm like, I saw the nice, cool designs on the pitches where they had like the grass and all that. So my job was to mow the lawn. So I would mow the lawn and make my own soccer field, and I didn't have paint. So I took flour and I made my own field.
Oh, geez.
And I just dreamed of kicking the ball up. I felt like this is my stage. And I dreamed at that moment, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to play for my country. And, I remember walking out for the first time, I have like chills thinking about it now. I thought about that moment when I was a kid. and, being, mowing the lawn and standing in the middle of my, front lawn and dreaming of like, hey, this is what I wanted to do my entire life. And it's that moment where I was like, wow, I'm here. And you don't realize it like in the moment because you're so focused. You're about to play one of the biggest games of your career and you have to be so focused. But it was like that split second where you were like, okay, I'm here. My dream happened. Now it's time to capitalize on it. So it was super special. And I hope there's many more players from Rhode Island and Mass that have the opportunity to do this.
That's an amazing story. You talk about 1994 and then fast forward to now. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but what does that mean to this area to have the World Cup come to this area and to maybe have kids like you go to the games and say, hey, Dad, I want to do this and go home and do the whole thing and then that fuel their career?
Yeah, and that's it. You said it, Joe, that it's just that split second where, maybe there's a player, he dreams of it. He's thinking like, I want to take this to the next level, but he doesn't know. Or he's just lacking the inspiration or the motivation to do something. And all of a sudden, you know what? My dad took me to Foxborough High School and Bolivia national team. They didn't make the World Cup, but they were playing in a World Cup like pre-match. And I got to see Marco Echeverri play, and he was playing at DC United. But I got to see the Bolivian national team about 10 feet in front of me because there wasn't a big media storm. There wasn't like security. It was just pretty much an open high school. And to think, I'm like, I had the opportunity to watch a national team play. It gave me like, this is what I want to do. It just inspired me a little bit more, made my dream a little bit bigger. And then to see this is an opportunity that's going to happen at Bryant University, which is massive for Rhode Island. But the amount of, media that's going to be around, the families all around the area, the local soccer teams, the players, that's like, they want to embrace that moment. If they can get access to a player and see it, like, do it. Like, take as much time as you can. Kids have school. I'm telling you, take school off. Go watch a training session because what they're going to learn, maybe 20 minutes in a training session or an hour and just watching the professionalism, the intelligence of the players, the intensity of every action and how important every touch is, that will educate the players to see the level that they need to get to. And for me, that's the best learning process you can probably go through because they're actually seeing it right in front of them.
That's a fantastic point. And I think that kids and hopefully schools and youth groups take advantage of that. And you mentioned Bryant University and Graduate by Hilton Providence. There, the base camp brochure, a team will be most likely selecting them. They're the only official one in New England. Now, as a former player, I have a question for you because what does that mean to be the only one in New England that is 30 minutes from Foxborough, Gillette Stadium, Boston Stadium? And is there, as a player, a competitive advantage to that? And what did you look for in a training facility?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the amount of travel that we did in Brazil was, we were flying six hours before the match. We'd train the day before, fly out on a private, and then you go out there, but you're still like, it's a long travel. And the United States is big. Obviously you have Canada and you have Mexico, part of it as well. There's a lot of travel. And that's the one advantage that the U.S. national team has. Their travel is significantly less compared to everyone else. And I think that's the advantage of a host nation. But a team that's based in New England and they're going to be playing at the Gillette Stadium, that's an advantage to them because it's less travel. They can go to the game and then come right back and go to their digs, their training facility, do all the right things and limit the travel. And that's for the game recovery. If you have everything in one, as in you have full access. We trained at Stanford University for 4 weeks before. We did a 2-month pretty much boot camp before the World Cup. And we had 4 weeks at Stanford and we had access to everything. We had the cafeteria, we had our chefs, we had 2 pitches, we had everything. We had cots in dorms for our afternoon lets, for our nap time and stuff, because it's like you want that focus and you want to be kind of secluded from the outside world a little bit, as in no distractions. You want to be private and just everybody's here together to win it, right? That's the goal. So for me, it's amazing that Brian has the ability to host a team like that, or any national team, World Cup team. And Rhode Island's small, but they have it's a great area, great location. There's food, there's stuff to do around there. So you're not limited as in you're in a bubble, but they can go out and get access to whatever they need. So it really is a great venue for them.
Fantastic insights right there, because I think any team that's listening should realize that players want, and Brian is a safe environment. As you know, Smithfield is one of the safest towns in the area every year when it comes to crime and all that. There's one way in, one way out. Tom Brady, the Patriots training camp was at Brian early back in the day. Yep. So they're used to supporting and hosting big teams. They actually hosted RIFC for their inaugural season last year before they get there.
And it's great for the community as well. It's great for local businesses. It's great because of what that's going to bring into the local communities is massive. So, for the local shops and stores and everything like that, that's a huge lift and a benefit to the area.
If you had a chance to say something to a young person from Rhode Island, Attleboro, Southern New England, with a lesson from your career or something you learned along the way to get to where you went to, what would that message be?
It's a great question. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. And, it's up to you. And more than anything, it's your mentality. If you have a goal, you have a goal to make professional soccer, to be a professional soccer player. What are the small little goals that will allow you to get to that ultimate goal? And just take one day at a time. Every day, we say it when we're training players, every day is a working day. And as in every day is a working day to get better. When you wake up, every decision you make is a decision is it going to benefit you or going to hurt you? And if you can live by that, you'll be better off. And I think that's just the mentality of, okay, am I going to have a soda or am I going to have a bottle of water? What's going to be more beneficial? It takes 14 bottles of water to get one soda out of your system. So how much are you prepared to stay focused and do the right thing? And it's like 1% every single day. If you do that, you have a higher chance of achieving your goal. And that's just the mentality. Love to work hard, embrace it. I know it's like more than one thing, but it's like, I love when I work with players and you can see it. Like maybe they're not clicking technically but they have the willingness and the attitude to do whatever it takes. And that for me is amazing because you can coach that. It's hard to get. And, I think, dream big. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it because it happened to me. And use that to like fuel you and don't turn that negativity into a positive. And that's for me, being positive, being a positive person is like you change the frequency. You want to surround yourself with positive people that are going to help you. So I know it's more than one.
No, that's all great stuff that people want to hear. And it's all great insights for a kid growing up that wants to get to the next level. And as you mentioned, we've had plenty of athletes. I know Rhode Island probably gets overshadowed, but we have had from across all sports, right? If you look at baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer with you and Michael Parker, it's like we've had athletes go to the next level. And for you, World Cup was the pinnacle. But even if you didn't have that on your resume, you were drafted in the MLS. You played in the Premier League, Stoke City. Can you talk about those two experiences? And as a kid from this New England area, that is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah. I just remember growing up and my grandfather was up in West Boylston and, we had the VHS and he'd have two tapes. I'd have two tapes. and he would record 2 Premier League matches. I would record 2 Premier League matches. And when he would come down on the weekend, he'd give me his and I'd give him mine. And I would watch those Premier League matches and we'd, talk about it. And that's kind of how I fell in love with the game over in Europe. And then obviously with the MLS, it was the opportunity that I always wanted to have, getting drafted to the Houston Dynamo, making that jump out of college and, taking advantage of it. And, Dominic Kinnear, I owe him a lot of credit because he's the one that gave me my opportunity. He drafted me. But yeah, the MLS was an amazing stepping stone and I kind of, took advantage of it. And I remember telling Dom, I'm like, I want to go play over in Europe. And he goes, well, if you do this and you give me your best and there's a team that comes into you, I'm not going to stop you. I'll help you go. And at the time in playing in the MLS, it was hard to, even if teams were coming in to buy you, it was hard to be sold, because they wanted to retain all their best players. And, I had the opportunity, the offer and the contracts came out and they were like, hey, we want to keep you here, be a franchise player. And I said, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I remember sitting down, I got offered a really good contract and I just said, yeah, but at the end of the day was, I didn't want to have any question in my head to say, was I good enough to play over in England? Was I good enough or have any doubt like, man, I really wish I could have gone over there and played. And then when you made that jump over and I made that jump over to play Stoke City, it was crazy because it's so ruthless and cutthroat there. People don't understand. It's compared to England to the MLS. One's like a college, and the other one's it's just different. It's a different beast because the contracts are so big. It's so cutthroat. There's 11 other guys on the team that are national team players that are starters in their country. And they want to take your job every single day. So that mentality, training every single day because you're competing for your spot. And it's like that in the MLS, but not to the higher standard. It was like you either had big shoulders to deal with that stress and that pressure or you crumbled. And I think growing up in New England and being kind of like going through the process here, allowed me to have those big shoulders and allowed to deal with that stress and, and I think that's the Rhode Island New Englanders are a little bit tough. They're rough and they can handle that. And I think that helped me deal with the stress and the demand and the ruthlessness over in England, because over there it's completely different. But it was a dream come true. And it was just, the level of intensity and the demand, it is, nothing is like it. It's faster than national team. That's a fact.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
You retired in 2023. Tell us about kind of what you're doing now. I know you get involved in training collective, The Ground, down in Florida. Can you tell us about what you're up to now after your soccer career and still obviously in the game, giving back to the kids?
Yeah. So we were in the process, when I retired, I was getting my master's degree and to become a sporting director. And I'm halfway, probably 6 months through. I'm reading 200, 300 pages a night, writing this, essays. And then I just kind of thought to myself, we had a speaker come on and he's like, if you want to do something, you just got to do it. And in that time we were building the business. We had Damien Roden, who's a head of performance over in the UK. He oversaw, Man City. He was with me at Stoke. He's over at Burnley now. He's been in the Premier League for a number of years. So to take him over, kind of build this soccer specific training facility and partner up with Mike Barras, who's down here, we wanted to offer something that is in a professional environment as close as we could, and give access to youth players and to professionals exactly what they would get into a professional environment. So that's kind of like where we want to bridge the gap from Europe to here in the US. And if you're not part of a MLS club or a USL club, even MLS clubs and USL clubs don't really offer that professionalism to these youth players. And a lot of club teams don't have the professional foundation. They don't know what they don't know. And our whole goal is to bridge that gap and educate and expose players to different types of training methodologies, whether it's performance-based, nutrition-based, technical, everything, and to offer one under one training facility. And that's why we call it the ground. Because over in Europe, you're like, hey, where are you going? I'm going to the training ground. And so it starts from the bottom. And our goal is, if you can elevate the ground level right now is not the greatest. So if we can elevate the ground, then the ceiling goes higher and we start developing more players. And, it's the Christian Pulisic. If we get more of those and you get these players to get a taste of what it is to be a professional soccer player at an 8, 9, 10 years old, and they fall in love with the process and they're exposed to a high intensity training, and they start thinking about it in a tactical, but an approach of game-like technical sessions, the more adaptable and the more easier it is for them to take the next step in their game. So that's where we're at. And we're in the process of building a $25 million training facility.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's incredible. You talked about youth soccer and how important it is for kids to get involved in it. And I would say it's growing right now. Soccer is bigger than it's ever been. We always talk about the World Cup effect. After every World Cup, there's a boost locally, especially here, because Rhode Island is one of the most watched areas in the Boston area as well. Can you talk about that World Cup effect? And obviously it worked for you in '94. The hope that it does leave a lasting impression on kids, especially in the areas where they can see the guys up close?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now is everything's accessible on their phone, and you can see it with Instagram, social media, their highlights, the reels and everything. But if I could have a message, watch the games, really watch the games, watch the players, not just watch the highlights. And you have the access here, being in the United States, you'll have the ability to watch all the games. It's going to transcend, players that are on the verge, like, hey, maybe they're playing two sports and they're really good athletes. And you know what? Maybe I'm playing basketball and I'm playing soccer and they like both. But all of a sudden, that one moment, they fall in love with the game soccer a little bit more. Now we're going to take those players. And I think we'll start to see a little bit more of those players that do multiple sports. They'll start playing more than just focusing on soccer because they just got inspired. And, maybe they're going to be dreaming, hey, I want to play for my country one day. And, and I think we'll have more Christian Pulisic.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing for Team USA. It's that time of the show for our lightning round. It's called One Touch. We're just going to ask you some quick questions, quick answers, just to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. First one, best memory from your soccer career?
Two, either my first Premier League match against Arsenal, walking out. And then the other one was, stepping out and represent my country for the first time in the World Cup.
Good answers. Premier League stadium that gave you goosebumps. Which one?
Old Trafford and the Emirates.
All right. Best city you played in outside of the U.S.
This one's crazy. This one's so hard. I played in a lot of places. Oh, wow. I would say, are we talking beautiful cities or like just an environment?
Yeah,
I'm going to say
soccer
Vienna.
environment. Maybe soccer environment.
You could say Austria, Vienna.
Oh, all right. One I wasn't expecting,
cool.
but probably a good one.
Yeah.
All right. One Rhode Island food you'd send an international visitor to try. If there's one spot, a specific food, a specific restaurant, what would it be?
I mean, I do miss East Side Pockets on Thayer Street. I'll tell you what.
Great one.
That was my go-to spot.
It was, all right. I love it. Yeah, falafel or the chicken one, great spot.
Yes.
I like that. We'll add that to our list when we share for the Summer of Soccer places to go. East Side Pockets
East Side
on Thayer
Pockets.
Street. Yeah.
Yep.
That was a fantastic answer, Geoff. One word you hope young players feel when they step onto the pitch for the first time.
Joy.
Good answer.
Just joy and love. Right? This is what you like to do. This is why you play. You love the game. So, every time you step on the field, you should have that joy. You should have that passion. You should feel that love because you love doing it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Final one. This is a big one. Could be controversial. Who will win the 2026 FIFA World Cup according to Geoff Cameron?
Hey, listen, I'm going USA all the way. So,
Same.
No other question. But I will have my second one. I'll say either Germany or Spain.
Okay. All right. Those are good answers. Respectable. And I do respect.
But USA all the way. That's it.
All right. Geoff Cameron, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey with us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thank you.
Awesome. Your story is a powerful reminder that world-class experiences can start locally. For more information, visit risummerofsoccer.com and follow RI Summer of Soccer on social media for updates, events, and ways to get involved. I'm Joe Kayada, and this has been the Rhode Island Summer of Soccer podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode as we prepare for a summer to remember.